Hi guys. In this episode, I'm going to dig into the concept of asymmetric information, and I'm going to introduce two important concepts of what we call economics of information: moral hazard and adverse selection. All right. Well, first of all, what is or what we mean by asymmetric information? Well, don't forget we are actually dealing with strategic environments, games, with incomplete information, meaning some payoff relevant parameters are unknown by some of the players. All right. Well, the idea that the information is asymmetric is basically means one side has information that the other side doesn't. All right. So, well, first of all, here, as you see, is that there's at least two sides, right? As I said, this is a strategic environment, so there should be at least two players. So if you think of this as a market environment, you can think of this as like the buyers versus sellers, or buyer versus seller, all right? Okay, so again, one side has some information which is payoff relevant, for example, the quality of the good the monopolist sells, or the type of the consumers, or the type of the person, or the pre-existing condition for the person who is planning to buy a health insurance, for example. All right. Well, we usually call this as a scenario where the information is private, or private information, or asymmetric information. They mean the same thing. Well, you may wonder why we do have such circumstances. Well, I think it's quite intuitive that, in many situations, in many strategic environments, some parties may have inside information. They know something about themselves, but most probably the opponents or the other side is not fully aware of this information, right? For example, the pre-existing conditions versus of the customer versus the health insurance. So the insurance company cannot really know the pre-existing condition of every person. And so therefore, that is usually the reason of asymmetric information. Well, normally and usually, asymmetric information negatively impacts the market. Well, sometimes it leads to inefficient outcomes, meaning that the total surplus is not maximized and there will be some deadweight loss, or put it this way, there's going to be wasted resources, which is not going to be benefited by either side of the market. And sometimes actually the entire market may collapse. So let's think of insurance market and sort of try to understand why asymmetric information may have negative impacts. Well, I'm not saying in the current market environment it has fully negative environments, because insurance companies are taking cautions to eliminate those negative side effects, obviously. But if those, how should I call them, prevention techniques weren't available, well, then the insurance markets may have actually failed entirely. How so? Well, think of a person, or a group of people who are planning to insure themselves by buying a health insurance. You know what health insurance is. Hopefully nobody gets sick, but if you get sick, the doctor's visit, the medicines, everything may be very, very expensive. And so you may cover all those risks with some insurance. Well, obviously, in many countries at least, insurance is not 100% free, right? You have to pay, which we call premium, for the insurance. So the question is, if you already have a pre-existing condition. So for example, let's say there's a group of people within this community who have pre-existing conditions. For example, they have a diabetes, or a weak heart, or I don't know, they have cancer. And so the thing is, the insurance company, if the insurance company knows who has what type of pre-existing condition, probably prefers not to sell insurance to those people. Or even if the insurance company sort of forced to sell some kind of insurance to those people, probably the insurance company would like to charge a very high premium, because those are customers who are potentially going to benefit from this insurance a lot, which means more cost for the insurance company. So the insurance company has to cover its costs. All right. Well, the thing is, if the likelihood of such customers in the market is very high, so if the insurance company thinks that the majority of the people have some sort of pre-existing condition, probably the insurance company is going to charge a very high price as a premium. Well, what's going to happen is it's a supply-demand material, right? Don't forget, the insurance company cannot distinguish who has what type of pre-existing condition. So the insurance company just sees a name. Doesn't know whether this guy is 100% healthy or has, a stage 4 cancer. And so has to sort of offer, fixed price and a fixed sort of a contract. The thing is, who is going to buy this contract? Well, if the price is high, obviously someone who is healthy, who thinks is not going to need insurance in the future, is not going to buy this insurance because he probably will think that the premium, the price is way too high. So what's going to happen? Only the customers, or sort of a big chunk of the customers, are going to be those who have serious pre-existing conditions, because they know they will use this insurance, and so even though the price is very high, they will buy it nevertheless. Well, given this, the insurance company is going to update what? Well, I determined my price believing that majority of my customers are going to be people with pre-existing conditions, but nevertheless there's going to be some people who are healthy, and so I'm going to make some loss, but I will also make some gain from the healthy people, and so it's going to be sort of a okay profit. But if because of the reasoning that I just told you, if healthy people kind of not buy this insurance because they think it is way too expensive, and only if the people who have pre-existing conditions buy the insurance, well, the insurance company is going to say, well, I was assuming that there's going to be some healthy customers, but it seems I have almost no healthy customers, and so I have to increase the prices even more. So if you iterate this reasoning, at the end, what's going to happen is that the insurance company is going to serve to only a very small number of customers who have serious pre-existing conditions, and the price is going to be extremely high. And so maybe eventually no customer is going to buy this insurance, because they're going to say, hey, you know what, what's the point of buying this insurance? I am paying exactly what I'm going to pay to the hospitals or to the doctors, and so let me not buy this insurance at all. You see what I mean? So basically the entire insurance market may collapse. So once again, the asymmetric information is not specific to health market or insurance market. Actually, I have some examples which I will mention briefly in a moment. But let me continue. How do we get rid of those, at least some of those negative effects? Well, by designing contracts. All right. So what do we mean by contracts? Well, it's completely context dependent. If it is, for example, monopoly, I will give you one example later. If it is monopoly selling, for example, wireless for cell phones, well, you can think of contracts as, packages, which basically tells you what gigabyte internet you can use per month and the price of that package. All right, so the monopolist or the firm, doesn't have to be monopolist, sorry, the firm can choose different levels of gigabytes and different prices. All right, so you can think of contracts, or in the insurance market, it's the premium plus the details of the insurance. What is the coverage? Is it full coverage? It is 90% coverage. Is there any co-payment? So these are all contracts. But again, the details completely depends on the context. All right, well, how do we study those models in game theory in economics? Well, obviously having more than one player on either side. If it is a market, like the consumers and the producers, or the buyers and the sellers, if there are many buyers, many sellers, well, then the models are going to get crazy complicated. So the simplest toy model that we can think of is what we call principal agent models. That means basically there's only one player on each side. There's two sides, consumer, producer, or buyer, seller, you can think it that way. And each side has only one player, principal and agent. Well, who is principal, who is agent? Well, the person or the party that proposes contract is called principal, and the party that decides whether or not to accept this contract is called the agent. All right? So that's kind of the definition or the distinction. Well, the agent usually is the guy who has private information. So if you think of insurance market, principal is the insurance firm, insurance company. The agent is the potential customer. And the private information is whether this agent has pre-existing health conditions or not. Okay? Again, I will talk about some other examples briefly in a moment. So here, an important assumption, in the principal agent models, it is a game, it's an extensive form game, and the generic timing is the following. The principal decides the contract and proposes the contract. It doesn't have to be just one contract. It could be a selection of different contracts, contract 1, 2, 3, etc. And then the principal makes a take it or leave it offer, meaning here is the contracts and here are the prices of those contracts. Are you going to buy any one of them? If you buy any one of them, you have to pay me and I'll give you the contract. If you decide not to buy any one of them, that's the end of the game. Okay? And end of the game, which means everybody receives their own outside option, which we normally and usually normalize to 0 for simplification. So this is what I mean by take it or leave it offer. They do not negotiate on the price. They do not negotiate on the details of the contract. Obviously, in reality, in some environments, you do negotiate, right? But the thing is, the negotiation is going to make things more complicated. So in order to keep things simpler, the extensive form game that we will be analyzing will also be simple. Take it or leave it offer. You either accept it or you get your outside option. As simple as this. Well, again, this is an extensive form game. Principal proposes contract, take it or leave it offer. The agent looks at all the contracts and then with the private information in his head, he decides which contract to buy, and then that's it. That's the end of the game. All right? And obviously, we are going to analyze the equilibrium of this game. Well, what is the equilibrium concept we're going to use? I am not going to go into the details of the equilibrium concept, but normally the equilibrium concept we use is perfect Bayesian equilibrium. If you don't know what it means, don't worry about it. Okay? It's very similar to backward induction. We are going to start analyzing the game from the last moving person, which is the agent. All right? And then we are going to determine the principles, the first mover's optimal strategy. All right?